Alright, we're getting ready to resume. Sorry, that's where this journey will have to end. Gotta head back to the bench. Zawardo! Welcome back. We learned a lot. It's been a while since I last played this. I think I have the volume leveled enough now to the point where it's not gonna actually drown me out. I guess that's one way to stall for time. Figured you might want to take a moment and review things. Appreciated. There's actually something I wanted to sort out before moving on. Namely, this. So that's what you were sketching out in your notebook. More or less. Can you look if I got everything right? Wow, pretty detailed. It can't hurt to keep the unusual features of our situation in mind. Especially since they'll probably be used against me, depending on what I argue. Yeah, I get the feeling the check they made the guard do at entrance will be trouble. Wait a moment, though. This tower has another floor? Well, it's obvious from looking at it. There's at least two. Maybe the eyes distracted you, but I remember 2 rows of windows. I love your memory. You didn't even know this was going to happen at that point. But you also wrote that we're on the top floor. How did you figure that? I mean, you also could have looked at the panel in the elevator. It wasn't lit up, but there was another button for the floor below this one. Heck yeah. Tower diagram. So you beginning to get the bigger picture? I'm not sure there's a bigger picture to get. We found some sketchy points about the victim, but not enough to turn this into self-defense. All the other clues don't appear to contradict the story that I shot the victim. Of course they don't. That's what happened. We've got to see what the witnesses will have to say. If we're lucky, we can trip them up somehow and ride the momentum like before. That's probably the best we can hope for. Fine, let's see what they got in store. Waiting won't make me any more prepared for this. Lillian, I'm ready to resume time. Is there nothing else you want to talk about? Now that nobody's listening? Like I said, I'm good. If you need a couple more minutes, that's fine. She's pouting. What are we talking about? This is getting awkward. Did I do something to upset you? No, not at all. I'm just kind of, worried. So I just want to say again that I'll be on your side, no matter what. She definitely noticed I wasn't completely honest during the investigation. Of course, there's no way it wouldn't bother her. I know I've been pleading the fifth a lot, about what's actually my business in this place. I'm not sure when I'll feel ready to talk about it to you, but I'll try, because you deserve to know. To me, that's the problem, isn't it? If it wasn't for my intuition, you might have said something like, I promise I'll tell you someday. No, if it wasn't for that, you'd probably open up at least a little bit. Ironic. That's not how I meant it. Oh? It really does suck sometimes. Being able to tell when your friend is lying. Lillian? Wait! You gotta stay at your bench, madam. The trial's resuming. Ooh. God damn it. I definitely upset her. That couldn't have happened with any worse timing. No choice but to focus on the trial for the moment. With everyone and the truth against me, I refused to go down without a fight. I at least promised her that much, after all. Oof. Hi, Vivian. Vivian, Victoria. Court is now back in the session for the trial of Aurelia v. Chase. I hope everyone had a good break. I, for one, could have used a longer nap. These mustn't be the judge's usual working hours. Let's hope that won't make him too eager to get to the verdict. We left off with a major hole being present in the plaintiff's case. Inexplicable missing key and no proof that Miss Chase actually fired the gun. I hope you are now ready to address these issues properly. Wait, something seems different. Looks like someone's had too much time on their hands. Surely that was a rhetorical question. There was never a point when I couldn't have put an end to the defendant's charade. What have you done to your side of the courtroom? A simple but necessary adjustment. A tablecloth that I can avoid touching this desk. And the majestic pristine crest adorning the walls. Oh my god. But why? Need you seriously ask? This bench had an identical design to the one on the defendant's side. This may have suggested to the casual observer that this was a clash of two equal minds. Something that naturally could not be further from the truth. The difference between us is of such magnitude that it ought to be visually reflected. I see. I suppose there's no harm done. However, I can't allow you to use a chair. The court requires all lawyers to stand while in session. You dare make us tie our legs while sitting yourself? Like her or not, she's got a point there. I'm afraid it's court procedure, Miss Preston. What a bother. Thankfully, this will not take much longer. Nice little effort there, spending those 20 minutes to represent yourself properly. You forgot to set up the big top, too. You forgot to set up the big top, though. How very amusing. Let's hope your wits won't be reflective of your arguments. Not really worried there. So far, I've tossed you around pretty easily with basically no evidence. Alright. Please cease hostilities. The defenders have a point, though. Your performance before the break raised some serious concerns, Miss Preston. Do you actually have a case prepared now? Unsurprisingly, Miss Chase has yet to comprehend my motivations. Let me attempt to enlighten you. To understand the trial so far, you must understand Schopenhauer. Of course, here we go again. He once said that there is nothing of which a man is prouder than of intellectual ability. It is exceedingly rash to let anyone see that you are superior to them in this respect. Such public humiliation would only cause a thirst for vengeance. When mingling with masses, he recommended to be stupid, so that they may remain agreeable. What? You were holding back so I wouldn't resent you. Sorry, but that ship has long sailed. There was another motivation, naturally. It's not like I could seriously allow you to walk away with this crime. But in my unparalleled kindness, I wanted to leave you a path to redemption. If you had realized your guilt and confessed, for there was no more room to deny it, you might have walked out of here with some remaining dignity. So what you're saying is, you sabotaged your case on purpose to give Miss Chase an opportunity to reflect. Sure, she totally meant to do all that. Whatever you say. Looks like your plan has failed. I stand unreformed. I expected this outcome. Nevertheless, it was a matter of principle. Perhaps you will appreciate it once even you realize the inevitable conclusion. Let us get this formality of demonstrating your guilt over with. All of you should have received my updated autopsy report. Yes, it was placed on my desk earlier. Then take note of the fact that the bullet found in the victim is a close to perfect match with the defendant's gun. Right. That does seem to prove this was the murder weapon. As such, the defendant's theory of another gunman falls apart completely. I'm not even going to try the 9% excuse, but I've got to push back here somehow. There's still very much a chance someone else fired that shot. They could have stolen the gun from me during the auction. Then they could have proceeded to shoot the victim and lock the door as I theorized. Guess they threw the gun into the room before locking it. The eagerness with which you propose such a laughable excuse is truly concerning. Alas, that's about what I expected. Let us deny even this absurd hypothetical gunman. I am prepared to call witnesses that can positively deny any such person even approaching the door. Alright, some witnesses. Very good. At last this is starting to resemble a normal trial. You may call your first witness, Miss Preston. Here it comes. Time to see how screwed I really am. Oh, hello. We are men. Now then, give your testimony. Alright, straight to the point. Wait, what are you doing? Why are there 2 people with a witness? Did you not comprehend my words? I said I have multiple witnesses. It's no surprise in an overwhelmingly obvious case like this. These three gentlemen were the first to break into the room and discover the body. Now that you mention it, some of these faces do kind of ring a bell. You're expected to call them one at a time. It'll be too confusing like this. Confusion, the unwarranted fear of a lesser mind. If anything, it will be less confusing this way. Their statements complement each other, forming the full picture. For their interdependent evidence to unfold naturally, this is the most effective method. If this is also not allowed by procedure, I worry about our courts. Oh, well, the idea to revive this practice has been talked about recently to shorten trial times. There's also some precedent stemming from British law, so I suppose it's not unthinkable. We'll have to make this a normal trial. I am pleased that you are able to see the light, old man. Give your decisive testimony, witnesses. Wait, please let them introduce themselves first. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the fort. Took you lasses long enough. The nerve of not only cancelling the auction and trapping us in this lot. This would have never been allowed back in the day. Oh, pipe down, old time. This shift's just as dodgy as it used to be. Move your wrinkly behinds, we can get to business. Oh, shut your mouth. It's a disgrace when I have to endure here. No comment. These three are supposed to complement each other? I share the sentiment of not desiring to drag this out needlessly. The sooner you help enlighten the ignorant, the faster this will be over. You want to talk, little miss? If you'd called us down here right away, we'd be well on our ways home by now. Instead, you let the perp run circles around you, forced us to sit and endure that travesty. Look where that got you. Now you come running back to us, crying. Did you not pay attention to my Sorry, some kid kept making excuses for a screw-up, so I couldn't catch anything. Honestly, you scummed like some grifter whose scam got busted. Funniest shit I've seen all day. Honestly, almost saved the evening. Get wrecked. You are unfortunately entitled to your ignorance. Maybe I should have spent the recess getting popcorn ready. Don't you start celebrating, gal. This might be a piece of work, but you're an ice-cold killer. Let me start while Grandpa's still booting up. Name's Waldus Neeland. Waldus Neeland. Sneeland? Guess what? I'm technically the owner of this whole damn joint. What? You're the owner of this tower? You got that right. Should have been one of our attractions before the local government killed the fun. Oh, you're the owner of the park? Ah. Lighthouse of Lunacy. Your name's more fitting than ever now, if you ask me. I run Luna Park, if you still didn't figure. Maybe you spotted on the way here. I do vaguely recall seeing a Ferris wheel. Yeah, we got one of those. Main attraction is the double drill viper, though. Leaves all the kids crying. Making kids cry? A viper? Is it dangerous to let snakes near children? It's a roller coaster, man. Man, the old timers. I see. Well, I'm afraid I must pass. Trials have so many back and forths, I don't think I can handle any additional roller coasters. Great, it's a kids-only park. Can't have any old men lurking around. Love them little brats. Us adults are pretty damn dull in comparison. So I've made sure they have a safe place to play in this harsh world. Those above 12, we ought to shelve. That's our motto at Luna Park. That's... hogwash. True wisdom only comes with age. That's why I've got $1 billion in the bank, and you've got, what, $2 million or so? Just parking some cash at the stock market for 50 years takes so much wisdom. It's called patience. Some of you youngsters these days lack. Well, even mine is running thin right now, so let's move on. I am Jones Dow. Investor. Net worth about $1 billion. Jones Dow. Well, that pun's obvious. Oh, are you a Disneyland pun? Yeah, you're a Disneyland pun. I just realized it. Walt Disneyland. Walt Disneyland. Walt Disneyland. Oh my god. That's so good, I hate it. You're a Disneyland pun. Keep mentioning your damn billion. You trying to impress these gals? It's important to let them know who is the most competent here. Obviously, Mr. Dow Jones. I know where to put money, and my money's on that last being up to no good. At least the presiding judge appears to be a wise gentleman. I'm sure he'll see it my way and send her where she belongs. I will spare no effort to ensure the defendant receives her fair verdict. He won't get swayed that easily, right? Now then, will the third witness introduce himself? Oh, my turn. I'm Monopoly. I run a humble furniture business. Is he tired? Good chances he had to endure the other two bickering for the whole evening. Without further ado, let us listen to what these gentlemen have seen. In a minute, your guilt will be undisputable to even the most Philistine of observers. We will see about that, won't we? Okay, this is a fun crowd. The shot and the hallway. Ooh, normal testimony theme. The three of us were having a friendly talk during the auction break. We were standing near the hallway. Would have seen everyone passing through. The defendant. She went past us and entered the room. Next up was the auctioneer. Must have noticed the trespasser and followed the perp. We had a gunshot, so we rushed to the door to check on that crooked business. Just so we're crystal clear on this, nobody else was in the hallway before the shot. Someone was talking inside. Serves you right, old crow. It was the defendant's voice. That definitely did not happen. That very definitely did not happen. Wait, what are you talking about? I never said that! Sorry, that's what I heard. Well, we didn't catch that, eh? It was clear as day. Think twice next time before you open your mouth after offing someone. That sounds like something Neelan would say. She taunted her victim? Unbelievable! How cold-blooded! Does she think this is a game? It's not a game. I'm not a robot AI challenging you. This is quite the revelation. It basically amounts to a confession. What is going on here? I know I never said those words. Do we really need something like this making the case even worse? And do you see now, Aurelia? I never promised too much. Admit defeat with some dignity. You effectively already admitted your guilt to them. There is still one point I'm unsure on, Miss Priston. Nobody else approached the door, as these gentlemen claim. Then who locked it? As I've said, it should be obvious that the victim or the defendant locked it. Then I take it you must have found the key to the room by now. The key has not been found. Doesn't that create a contradiction in your theory? Again, she must have hidden it in a really asinine spot we wouldn't think of. That triviality is surely outweighed by all this insurmountable evidence against her. Well, certainly. There is no question as to her guilt. Even without that, I suppose. Is there anything you'd like to say before I hand down my verdict, defendant? Well, that's what I'd like to ask, but you will probably insist on cross-examining the witnesses. I definitely have some questions, Your Honor. I'm aware you never know when to listen, but allow me a recommendation. Don't try stalling too much. I can easily predict all you might try, and none of it will make you look better. Noted. And immediately thrown in the trash. What? I've been summoned? I got a hint for you, too. Lillian? Save the chat for later. I've got to get you through this trial first. Just wanted to tell you that I didn't pick up any lies from these witnesses so far. That's absurd. What they claim I said is completely made up. There must be some other explanation. Better start thinking of one. I'll leave you to it. She's still cross. Understandable. Okay, let's go through it. I am 200% certain I never said anything like that. Is it possible someone else said it? I recall hearing voices right after the shot, but my perception was hazy then. Didn't make out what they said. I take it you're ready to begin, then. Your cross-examination, Miss Chase. Oh boy. Come on, you can do it. Here we go. What were you talking about? A Philistine attempt to stall. The question has no possible relevance. I wouldn't say that. The topic of their conversation might have affected their perception. Maybe I am reaching out of spite. We're discussing the auction, nothing special. Discussing? You were running your mouth because you couldn't handle losing. Don't know what banter is, old-timer? You should try it at one of your boring parties. Oh, the gosh. You are absolutely mad. Right, Bono? Well, Mr. Nealon may have been a tiny bit. Careful what you say, Mono. Not irritated, though it may have looked that way. Mr. Dow had been driving up the bidding prices in the auction so far. So that was him. That plainly ain't how you play auctions. I was giving the old-timer some friendly advice. You don't know the first thing. You've got to shock everyone with high numbers. How many times do I have to teach you this? I'll just make them save their gunpowder. Gotta wait for the valuable stuff before you strike. You'll be out of money by then. You still think that thing would have actually turned up? Of course. She was saving the best for last. Basic auction playbook. That's how you drain the last hesitant dollars. You were waiting for something specific? The statuette of Thanatos. Oh? Dr. Lee was said to possess a real ancient Greek figure. I had saved up to be able to bid on it. $500,000. $1 million. $2 million. Oh, $7 million. $10 million. You serious? You don't even have that much on hand. Who cares? I can take out a loan. Rich people were a mistake. That's interesting info, though. Could you point out your exact position on this diagram, please? And if you insist, lass, we stood around here, at the corner. You would certainly have a very good view into the hallway from there. Damn straight. No dead angles whatsoever. It does look that way. Still, were you actually facing the hallway the whole time? What are you on about? Nice try, miss. But we were standing in a triangle. Their combined eyes thus gave them perfect 360-degree vision. One of them always had the door in their view. I see no issues here. Or are you suggesting there is a problem with one of these claims? I mean, we could prod this, but we are potentially in the penalty zone. Well, I've saved anyway, so let's poke. No dead angles. No dead angles? I don't think so. There's definitely a spot they couldn't see from that position. There is. Could you point it out for us then? I'm just gonna have seen what happened in this spot. Further down the hall? False. You wouldn't be able to see anything behind the corner. Which is laughably irrelevant. The victim had entered the room before these witnesses heard the shot. Someone from that hallway would naturally not have had a clear shot at that point. Isn't some kind of ricochet possible, like the bullet bouncing off the wall? I should probably just have stopped talking instead of doubling down. The door was closed at that point. Gotta step up your game, miss. Appears the only shot here came bouncing right back at you, Miss Chase. I was too eager to point something out there. Gotta make sure the contradiction actually matters. I'll take that L. Are you sure that was me? Yes, I'm afraid so. Your getup stood out like a sore thumb, miss. You didn't dress rich. Is everyone going to criticize me for this? To commit to such criminal acts even when in such plain view. One should not dare to imagine what depravities you would plan if you possessed the ring of Gyges. Did you actually see my face, witnesses? No way you paid that much attention to a passerby. Biggin? Oh, you're asking me? I saw it. You were looking around a lot. It drew my attention. Sorry. Was I really acting that shitty? Shifty? Okay, but there was nothing else suspicious about me, surely. It's not like you saw me carrying a gun, for example. No. An unrefined attempt to exonerate yourself. This weapon is small enough to be concealed easily. I know I've had it with me at the time, but it's good to know that it's good to know what they know, I guess. Was there anything notable about the manager at the time? The lady had a stern look on her face. I reckon she must have hated trespassers just as much as I do. If it wasn't for her trying to handle it, I might have taken you on myself. Should I be glad? Folks need to learn to stick to their lane. You know how many trespassers there are at Luna Park? They climb the fences. Some even fake their age to pass off as kids. Can you believe it? It does sound rather evil, infiltrating a children's park. I've handed them all what was coming to them. Death. Don't worry. Those fiends will never dare pull it again after that. Looking like a fiend yourself there. Does that park feature a torture chamber? I was just gonna say that. To get back to my point, was there anything else there? Going to have to be more specific there, miss. Let's see, was the victim... Ooh, there are two good questions here we can ask. Carrying anything or still unharmed? Did you spot anything in her hands? You bet I did. She held that knife in her right hand. That's a little odd, no? She couldn't have seen my pistol. Why would you take that with her? Why would you confront a burglar unarmed just because you did not perceive a weapon? She happened to have that knife on hand because it was to be the next auction item. It's decidedly reasonable for her to keep it with her. I agree. It's not an unnatural course of action. Or are you saying there's a contradiction with the victim carrying the knife? No, not gonna go there yet. No, she's here, Your Honor. Just wanted to clarify. Let's move on. Still unharmed. Just to be clear, the victim wasn't wounded at that point. What are you playing at? Of course the lady didn't have any visible wounds, yeah? Trust me, I've seen a lot of grievously wounded folks. She wasn't walking like one. Okay, what is going down at the amusement park? Should we be concerned? That's besides the point, isn't it? You know damn well she couldn't have been shot then. Not like anyone's still walking around after getting their heart popped. Rifling marks, heavy amount of sweat, no evident cause. Stomach is empty. Gotta do better than that, miss. I've been paying attention too. Well, the witness does have a point. So does the victim still being unharmed at this point create any major problem for you? I love this shit. It's astoundingly problematic, or it's disappointingly unproblematic. I don't know what to say here. Astoundingly problematic. Yeah, this is a huge issue. This is gonna be good. Very well, if you say so, then I'm going to show you have grounds for it. With the problem of the victim being unharmed before entering the study. You present this. I'd say this makes it pretty strange that the victim was unharmed, don't you agree? No, I would not. Fuck, okay. Disappointingly unproblematic. No, she's here, Your Honor, just wanted to clarify. Let's move on. We'll come back to that. But were you actually certain the shot you heard came from that room? Isn't it possible you simply assumed that? It'd be pretty hard to determine the direction of a shot. Maybe I can at least cast doubt here. You doubt my hearing, lass? I heard it loud and clear. It was coming from that direction, no two ways about it. I remember it too. The sound was a bit muffled because it came from another room. That made it fairly easy to tell which direction it came from. I'm glad you see it my way, sir. You're not a witness, Your Honor. I wouldn't put it past Victoria to try and summon the judge to the stand. Fine, let's accept that the shot came from roughly that direction. How sure are you that it was actually a gunshot, though? Do you think I've never heard a gunshot in my life? I've watched enough movies to know that sounded exactly like one. There's no two ways about it. The bang sound was a gunshot. So it didn't sound like a bang? Don't torture my ears like that. This body's in enough pain. My hemorrhoids. If you have enough time to fool around, consider using it to resign. Suppose a gunshot fired in the locked room might sound that obnoxiously loud. That's precisely where you heard it before, so it's no surprise you'd assume that volume. Let's move on to what happened next. Yeah, let's. Thank you for that. You seem pretty confident. Could you actually have paid attention to the hallway that much? It's one thing if someone passed by you, but you can't be certain nobody came from the other way. Listen, miss, you were standing there for the whole break. I would have spotted any dodgy business in that hallway. It's not a place folks are supposed to walk around in, after all. That's pretty confident. What about things other than people, then? Let's say someone had dropped a gun in a corner. Maybe some string was running by you on the floor, even. I doubt you could spot that. Of all the things, you simply had to go for that. Yeah, because I remember you hate it. You're taking me pretty lightly, eh? When I say I'd have spotted any dodgy business, I damn well mean it. Got a nose for that stuff. Besides, there's not many places to hide anything in that hallway. The place remained totally spotless through the break. I'd be willing to bet 10 grand on it. 20, 30, 50, 100. Oh, I hate them. This is a beautiful gimmick. I hate them. Sold, middle-aged gentleman in the black suit. We're not bidding on the verdict, I hope. That's beautiful. I love this. Okay, so you insist that you didn't see anything except for me and the victim. You haven't made your own stance clear, Miss Chase. Do you think there's an issue with what the witnesses saw? The problem is that... And they didn't see anyone else. They didn't see anyone else. They didn't see anything else. We could, in theory, raise a problem. We'll leave it for now. There is, in fact, no problem. I suppose I can understand why this is a problem for you. Let's continue then. So there's many places we can raise an objection. I'm very sure I never said that sentence in my life. As I said, ma'am, I heard it like that. The door was still locked at that point, right? Maybe? Don't let that youngster pressure you, Mono. We hadn't broken down the door yet. Right, so the voice was a little muffled. Isn't there a chance you were just mistaken? Could have been some other woman doing an imitation. She really sounded like a little offended, though. If you happen to remember, the only other woman found in the room was dead. She also had a very different voice. With that in mind, do you have any real evidence you weren't the one to say those words? I'm not sure how I meant to prove that. It's not like I kept filming my mouth 24/7. That doesn't sound like it's our problem. All this has shown how little the queens of crime really amount to. You could not stay silent for a second and get caught right away. Truthfully, your incompetence might be the real crime. A real-life mute button sure would be handy right now. Jokes aside, I gotta do something about this slander. It's the only part of this testimony I know I'm definitely not responsible for. Testimony is somehow even worse than I imagined. I am not only up against 3 witnesses at once, they're somehow also framing me for things I wasn't even aware of. My natural instinct is to go after the part I know is definitely wrong. It's also hard to disprove without preparation, so that might not be the best approach. Probably press for info first to clarify how much they actually saw. Maybe this will give me something to attack. Well, I gotta make sure it's not something that can be hand-waved too easily. I'd be okay with something that just stalls for time for now. An anything and blood trail. Let's go for anything else, and then the blood trail. There wasn't anything out of the ordinary in the hallway. I find that highly concerning. Strap yourselves in, folks. Here it comes. What do you think we should have noticed in that hallway, Miss? Blood? Perfectly clear here. Are you confident that the hallway was spotless? So confident you said you'd bet 100 grand if it came down to it. Damn straight, I can spot funny business from a mile away. The hallway was clean. The real mess was happening inside that study. I see. Good. Then we got a real problem on our hands. That'd be something. By all means, give us some entertainment, miss. Gentlemen, I want to draw your attention to a certain blood trail. A blood trail? Where is this coming from? You missed it? No, that's just sloppy. It's right on the past of the crime scene. Ooh, the hell? Ah, not bad, miss. You could be going places. I'm keeping my money, though, because I'm sure about what I saw at that time. This shouldn't even be needed to be stated, but there's no contradiction here. I hope you're not going to say the witness could have just missed it. It's a little hard to buy he'd not take notice of it in an empty hallway. It would have never crossed my mind to make such a crude argument. What's important is when precisely the hallway was stained with blood. It was after these witnesses discovered the crime, then this doesn't contradict their account. Never meant to point out a contradiction, you know? All I said is that this blood trail creates a problem. These witnesses saw what they saw. I'm willing to accept that. Which means an unknown party created this trail sometime after that. No matter how you look at it, we must look into who or what caused this to happen. You are simply trying to distract from the fact that you have found no real issues with this testimony. They saw nobody else enter the room, and they heard you confess. And we have to wonder how reliable these witnesses are. This blood stain raises a real question of tampering, after all. For example, could someone have removed a blood-covered object from the scene? We require more testimony to rule that out. Oh, this is intriguing. I have to admit, the case against the defendant still seems extremely clear. Still, it does not sit right with me to simply ignore the issue of a blood stain. Witnesses should testify about what they saw after breaking into the room. Be sure to mention anything you touched, whether it was bloody or not. What a thoughtless decision. Hopefully this farce will only be prolonged for one testimony. Not if I got anything to say about it. At this point, I'm committed to stall for days if needed. You've got to be hoodwinking me. Us fellow gentlemen should know better than to put each other through so much stress, sir. You know how much I've got to put up with daily. I've got to use false teeth that are hard to talk with. My back is in constant pain, and I haven't been able to feel my legs in months. Oh my God, are you okay? The boss's body is already at its limit. Let us leave. Oh, stop being a baby, old-timer. I, for one, am looking forward to what yarn our miss is going to try and spin here. Mono is suffering here. What are you up to? Well, it's not like I cannot relate. I assure you there won't be any further exploring of vague loose ends after this testimony. If the defendant fails to raise any real doubts, we can move to the verdict after this. Oh. Oof. Stalling could be a tad more difficult then. Yeah, we're in for it now. Caught red-handed. The door was locked, so he busted it open. Inside, we found you standing over the dead manager with a gun. I seized the weapon and confirmed one bullet was missing. Didn't put my hands on anything else. That's when that last got there and looked over her mother's body. He told most of us folks there to beat it, so I helped escort the defendant to another place. I was left alone with that devilish lass. The guard that was supposed to do it took a while to arrive. She got so busy setting up her appallingly loud machinery, but I'm sure I didn't touch anything. Does not really sound like anything suspicious happened. aside from the defendant being found in the study with a gun. Clue is already a game for an inferior type of mind, but it applies doubly for this one. Truly spoken like someone with a non-existent win rate in that case. Just so you know, I noticed the blood when I got back to the crime scene. The guard and the detective were still there at that time. Ooh. The others were busy organizing the whole trial in the main hall. Doubt any of them went back. So the blood must have gotten into the hallway before that. You wouldn't remember if the drops got fainter in any direction. Would pay attention to that. I mean, you must see there's a point to that. And she cut me off. She hung up. She's still mad. Oh no, Aurelia, your wife is angry at you because you're holding stuff back. Probably very sensitive stuff. And dangerous stuff, but still. You're holding back from your wife, and she is very angry. Understandable. You may start your cross-examination, Miss Chase. I've been clear that this will be your last chance to find an issue with these witnesses. Yeah, I got that. The blood drops are slightly smaller near the main hall. Oh, you want to check? It's visible from here. Might as well. Thanks. That should be helpful. Better be. Just don't lose. The blood got fainter near the main hall. In other words, it originated from the crime scene. Which means someone must have caused it while leaving the room. The question is who and how. Huh. Interesting factoid. I honestly thought that it would have been manager Melanie with the knife. Pricked herself with a knife and the knife was poisoned. Alright. But maybe not, alright. Can you be more detailed about how you went about breaking the door? What do you expect? First we tried the handle, but it didn't budge. So I gave it the good old-fashioned shoulder slam. That did the trick. There's nothing unusual about it. Are we sure it was actually locked? Now listen here, miss. I know a thing or two about busting doors. There's a bit of initial resistance, but they swing open fast after you overcome it. This door was no different. Good that we had an expert around. Of breaking doors, I'd rather not know how he became one. Not sure why you'd even take this angle, miss. Were you gonna say something like a chair or a bookshelf might have been blocking the door? Busting something like that wouldn't have felt like that. There'd be more constant resistance. Good old Walter Sneeland is an expert at busting. Well, I guess it wouldn't have made a difference to your case. You'd still be the only one who could have pulled that. After all, the only one inside the room was... you standing over the dead man with a gun. Alright. Well, but it's not like you saw me fire it. Come on now, so you got any better excuse for that scene? By all means, Aurelia. Your attempt at an explanation is still pending. Oh my god, did the TV say it? Did Mono hear the TV? I just flipped over the court record and the TV was right in front of me and it just struck me. Your attempt at an explanation is still pending. I know it looks bad, but I'll keep pleading the fifth. But really, did I look that much like a killer to you? Remember, I didn't try to resist. You did look shocked more than anything. That's because you were surprised we caught you, wasn't it? Well, anything I say will get this sounds like what a killer would say treatment. For the record, there wasn't any blood on me, right? But as far as I could see. Give it up, miss. It's not that difficult to stay clean when shooting someone. Guess if any blood had gotten on me, it would still be on my clothes right now. Since there's nothing I can rule out somehow causing the blood trail myself. At last, one thing I won't be held responsible for today. Alright, one bullet was missing. You sure you didn't make a mistake there, like accidentally losing a bullet? Real funny, miss. You trying to say I pulled a fast one. Why don't you tell us? You were standing right in front of me. My memory's a bit fuzzy on that part. Sure, well, everyone else was keeping tabs on me as well. Right, let's move on to the gun. You say you didn't put your hands on anything, but what about your feet? Is there a chance you stepped in some blood? I get what you're driving at, but there ain't no way it went down that way. Give you this much, that red carpet floor meant we wouldn't have seen any bloodstains. There's also the rub, though. That kind of floor would also absorb a lot of blood quite handily. You need a pretty big pool so that stepping in it wouldn't leave much of it on your shoes. Enough to leave as many splotches as this, I guess. I mean, if you actually stepped into a big pool, the pattern you left wouldn't look like this. It'd be more like a shoe profile. Not little pools you got there. That makes some sense. His reasoning sounds correct, which means that the blood trail was not caused by just stepping into a pool of blood. This is interesting. It's ruling things out. Mono is suffering over there. That's. Did you see what she was doing exactly? What do you think? You don't lose a parent that often in your life. She was probably trying to save her until she realized it was too late. Okay, but you're not really sure of that. In other words, it was possible she secretly removed something from the body. You'd accuse her of tampering before her mother's body was even cold. Does your generation have any class? If you're looking for class, Aurelia is decidedly the wrong address. The odds she wasted some of her worthless few brain cells at a bar the night before are fairly even. Then again, given her actions today, they may be higher than that at the moment. Exaggerating as always. Though I could definitely use a drink right now. Class or not, she does have a point. We're more focused on our perp not pulling any dodgy business. The young miss could have well swiped a thing or two. Well, I'm not surprised you're picking that side. Just because she couldn't doesn't mean she did. That'd prove it's just slander. Let me ask, was there any blood on her when she got back up? None. Her clothes were clean. It's good to have the possibility on the table, I guess. Even if she did pocket something, I don't see how it would result in her leaving a blood trail. Maybe she took the key. Don't know. You escorted me to that side room. Hopefully, not by yourself. Shouldn't you know the answer to that, miss? I can't really recall, sadly. My memory is pretty fuzzy on that part. I was still processing what happened. I guess you did look a little out of it. For whatever that's worth. You overacted the whole being shaky on your feet part, but good effort. Still, you rest at ease, miss. Someone made sure I wasn't pulling any funny business. Your cheeky little friend was watching over you. He really didn't trust me much. Immediately told me to leave once we got you to that side room. Lillian. So she was with me through all that. She probably wouldn't have noticed if that guy did anything suspicious. Like carrying something bloody away from the scene. So rules walled out. You and the detective then. You don't sound fond of Dr. Hellinger, if that's what you mean. She's a precocious know-it-all, that's what she is. You're objectively in the way. Move back. She had the nerve to say that. Disrespecting your generation. Rob the lady. Sounds like she wasn't afraid to state plain facts. Then she began setting up her devilry all around the victim. Devilry? Oh boy. Some details would be nice. Surely she wasn't setting up a ritual with a magic circle. She might as well have been. She came carting in this giant metal box on wheels. The box was then dismantled into a lot of smaller machines which she placed on the floor. Oh, they can be fit together? That explains how she was able to transport all that. Back in my day, detectives relied on their brains to solve crimes. This tech stuff can't even handle automatic driving. It's all a scam that will crash and burn, mark my words. Okay, Boomer. I don't know, there's a reason I took the train. Those autonomous cars would probably still do a better job than me. Fair. At any rate, this means the detective didn't have to enter and leave the room multiple times. He came in and then pretty much remained inside the whole time, of the sound of it. Machines were loud. They didn't strike me as appalling in terms of noise. Well, now it's a different story. You should have been there when she first switched them on. Like I was standing in a factory, you would believe it. They objectively weren't that loud. Oh, hi. They objectively weren't that loud. No interjections for the gallery, please. Scary. Never get between a lady and her favorite toys. You should know better at your age. I stand by what I said. My ears still work fine if nothing else. I've been divorced 5 times. So these devices probably make some noise during the boot up process. There's a chance I'll be able to use that for something. I'll just note it down. Alright. Let's talk about yourself now, Mr. Dow. What exactly makes you so sure you didn't touch anything? Do I really need to explain this to you? Well, you must have been forced to move around at least a little bit. Isn't there a chance you bumped into or stepped on something? What are you on about? Mono touched something. If that had happened, I would have felt it, I think. So when you say you're sure, you mean that you would have sensed if you had touched anything. Yes, what else would I mean? That's how it's supposed to work for everyone, lass. Guess that should generally be true. It does seem unsure, though. Maybe there's a way to sow some doubt here. Certainly when Lillian spotted the blood, it must have been caused during these movements. To be specific, it must have been caused by someone leaving the room. Guess my approach should be finding ways for that to happen. Then have the witnesses admit to as much. Should press them for clarifying information and look for a way to contradict one of them. Ideally, something can turn into a bigger distraction, but beggars can't be choosers. The only thing we really got from that is... appallingly loud. What can we gain from this? The only thing we really got from this is... we have the fingerprints on the door. What do we make of this? Appallingly loud. I'm gonna do something radical here.
Objection!
False. I'm going to not do that something radical. I want to know what Mono was doing, but I don't know how to get there. Giant metal box on wheels. We know someone touched something. That's about all we can say. I'm trying to live big brain this. But I don't think anything's coming right now. Let's think on this more. Oh my god, this is so dumb, but it makes so much sense. So, we're told a lot about these folks. Furniture. He can't feel his legs.
Objection!
Well, just gotta take the gamble here. Witness, you say you were sure he didn't touch anything. Clarify that you were sure because he would have felt it, correct? Of course, that's just common sense. I agree. Normally, people would be certainly be able to feel it if they touched anything. It just happened to be something you mentioned earlier. You mentioned that you had issues feeling anything in your legs. So how would you be able to tell if you stepped on anything? Ah, that's... He says, it has to be your worst idea of an objection so far, and if not for lack of competition. You're contradicting the witness on how sure he was whether he stepped on something. Seriously. This is actually important to the case, you know. If the witness could have stepped on something without noticing, it opens up a real possibility he disturbed the scene unwittingly. This may be easy to verify. Please show us the underside of your shoes, witness. What is this madness? There's a hole in my left foot! Oh! Oh, you're right, witness. Call an ambulance already. He'll be fine. Wound's not that deep. The bleeding's stopped. I'll be fine. Something went all the way through my soul. How did that happen? Look at a pretty sharp object, I'll give you that. You think this is a joke? I have hemophilia. My blood doesn't dry that fast. Could have very well bled out from this. Huh. Explains how he managed to leave such a big mess. Hemophilia, too? Almost starting to feel sorry for him. Then again, he's got money to make up for it. Ah. Anyway, there you have it. This witness stepped on something at the scene that caused this wound. The question is, just what could have made this happen? Wasn't there a knife at the scene? That must have been what he stepped on. That's impossible. The knife at the scene had no blood on its blade. Now, there must have been something else there. Something that has inexplicably not been found at the scene.
Seriously?
I'll take this opportunity to stop you before this becomes any more disastrous. After all, there's only one good, knowledge. And one evil, ignorance. Let me guess, Schopenhauer. Socrates, you Philistine. It took you quite a bit of mental flailing to arrive at this mysterious object. Unfortunately, it seems that you are incapable of taking the final step. I will assist you. Perhaps this is enough of a hint. The door to the crime scene? Not sure what you're trying to get at. Oh, it's so trivial, I thought even you might be able to see it. The door was damaged when these witnesses broke it open. This caused parts of the frame near the lock to splinter and scatter on the floor inside. I found the blood of a witness on at least one of those splinters. Oh, hold up. You did what? By the by, this blood in the hallway? Did you seriously believe I missed that? Were you simply praying for a miracle? One would understand that I, Victoria Priston, never make mistakes. I already knew this was the old man's blood before the trial started. Why didn't you just say so then? You sure acted all flustered and surprised when I first brought it up. It simply seemed too trivial a matter to mention. I was indeed quite surprised when you decided to point it out. Did you really not even reason out that much yet? I pondered to myself. It was like watching a toddler learning to walk. I had to see how far you could go. Unfortunately, you never failed to disappoint. Okay. The court accepts these new facts into evidence. It appears there was no meaningful mystery behind this blood trail after all. The witness accidentally stepped on a sharp piece of wood. Hardly a case-breaking detail. Does that mean we're done? I'd rather not stand for longer than necessary now. I did say this would be the end of your testimony if no issue was found. Miss Chase has not managed to shed light on any such issue. We haven't heard from Monopoly. If she has nothing else to say, I will end the cross-examination here. Think about it. Think about it. This will be so much confidence I can fake. Screw you, Victoria. Well, this is a first. She actually got you good. That was a crude trap. No other choice but to walk into it anyway. And the case seems that airtight, you can only really jump on whatever sticks out. And it doesn't just seem airtight, it obviously is. This is what it's like to fight the truth. It's absurdly impressive. The truth can't be fought. That's what makes it so cruel. This isn't the truth. You're not actually guilty. That part is subjective, and they'll decide that I am in a minute. There has to be something we can still do. Was there really no other problem? There isn't. I wasted all my time chasing an irrelevant point. Well, think of something, anything. You say that, but I just don't see any other issue with that testimony. That's the face I've been waiting for. That moment of realization. I've been running circles around you this whole time. How does that feel, Aurelia? Careful, your real face is starting to show. Keep that up and I might have to use my hands as the mute button. Predictable answer for such a classless brute. It appears the defendant has no further points to make. We've held you up for long enough, gentlemen. You may leave the witness stand. I still have an issue with this testimony. In chess, it is considered courteous to resign when clearly outmatched. You seem not to tire of embarrassing yourself even further. Do you actually have an issue, Miss Chase? It won't be fond of any attempts to stall for time. I do in fact think there is a major problem here. I just need to come up with it fast. Was there really nothing sketchy going on during that testimony? I get the vague feeling that we were missing something in plain sight. I would like to stall for time, obviously. Present evidence, demand testimony, stall for time. Demand testimony. I would like to demand further testimony. We are talking about whether there is an issue with the current testimony. There's no time to call for another witness, Miss Chase. It'll make sense once you see who I want testimony from. Very well. Who do you want to testify? Monopoly. He didn't say a word during that last testimony. I happen to know something, Socrates said, too. Looked it up just for you. Silence is a profound melody for those who can hear it above all the noises. Do not think quoting someone will make your point look more intelligent. These witnesses are done, whether you have the capacity to accept it or not.
Objection!
Sure, these witnesses have done their duty. 2 of them, that is. 2 of them? But
Seriously?
have you not learned how to properly count yet? There are 3 witnesses on the stand. Quite right, and I wish to hear from all of them. However, one of the witnesses hasn't said a single word during the last testimony. Mr. Poley, I demand that he testify. He didn't? What did it matter? Surely he just had nothing substantial to add. The judges already said this would be their final testimony. The court requested that these witnesses testify about their movements after breaking the door, all 3 of them. Right now, we still have absolutely no idea what Mr. Poley was doing. He hasn't actually given his final testimony yet. What's the matter, Mr. Poley? Care to explain yourself? There he is. He's squirming. He's leaving. Don't just fade in the background, lad. The hell, Mono? You made us do all the work here. What? Oh, you were, talking to me? You've been looking rather out of it for a while now. What's wrong? That, nothing. Really. I just, spaced out for a bit. It was quite a shocking sight to remember. I don't think I can add anything now. It's pretty much all been covered. We should probably just move on. This won't do. The defense raises a valid point. It appears the final testimony has been incomplete. Can't focus when everyone is looking at me like this, though. Shouldn't take much of your time. Just need you to briefly go over your movements. Is this mandatory? It is very much mandatory. Now please, give your testimony. Nice, bought more time after all. With how this witness has been acting, there's a decent chance I can't get him to trip up. Let's see what you have to say, and then we'll end off this video. It's still the same until we got to the door. The gunshot and everything. I was right behind the others when they went inside. It was a very shocking view. Miss Holden told us to leave, and so I did. Very shocking. That was succinct. I'm going to venture a guess here that the goal of this cross is going to be to press him on that, try and get him to recall what he actually saw, and then raise objections when he can't actually recall. I like this.